Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Bertrude and today we're doing some invasions on a brand new build. This is build number 41 now. Let's take a look at the stats. So it's a level 40 build and the main stat on this one is just vigour. We've got 40 vigour and then we've got minimum strength and dex for our weapons. We're using the magic tier to squeeze a little bit more damage out of our weapons and the opening hard tier for the damage negation. And here's a quick look at the armour and talismans we're using on the build. When it comes to our weapons on this build, in our right hand we've got the Rotten Crystal Sword and then in our left hand we've got the Rotten Crystal Spear. Besides this, in our second weapon slot in our left hand we've got the Surpus Black Key Crossbow, and then in the second weapon slot in our right hand we've got the Coiled Shield. And that's the build guys. I should mention that on this one I do have the option to use two Rotten Crystal Swords. I've got the second sword if I feel like I'm coming up against any particularly nasty ganks and I want to put out a bit more damage. But that's all there is to say, so it's time for you lot to sit back, relax and enjoy the video. Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an absolutely awesome day. So I call this build the Rotten Cleric, and I came up with a rough bit of lore to accompany the build, something I always like to do when I can with these characters. I just like giving them a little bit of a backstory. It makes things more interesting and it helps me from a personal point of view just to get a bit more invested into the gameplay, into the fights, into the character. It just helps me enjoy it all a little bit more when I give my characters a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of history. You know what I'm saying. I just like to, give him a bit of personality. And I like to call this one the Rotten Cleric. His original origins are quite unknown. No one really knows too much about him. But what people do know is that he used to be a man of faith. No one really knows which faith he was loyal to. No one knows who his god was. Who he worshipped, what his idols were. But people know that he was some kind of man of faith from the clothes that he's wearing. And a long time ago, when he was out on one of his holy pilgrimages trying to spread the word throughout the lands between, he unfortunately picked up scarlet rot, and it infected his blood, it infected his body, it corrupted and warped his mind, and he lost his faith, he lost everything he believed in, he lost his mind, and he even grew this kind of horrible bulbous fungus out the top of his head. I mean, obviously that's a mushroom crown, but in terms of the character's lore, that's part of his body. That's what Scarlet Rot has done to him. It's warped his mind and it's turned him into this vicious killer. He's not the holy man that he used to be. All that's remaining from his holy background is the remnants of the clothes that he's wearing, and that's kind of the giveaway that he used to be a holy man. But unfortunately, like I say, he picked up the Scarlet Rot and it's just turned him into this absolute animal. He's no clue of the person he used to be. All he cares about is inflicting Scarlet Rot on other people through the use of his Rotten Crystal Sword and his Rotten Crystal Spear. He's totally committed to the rot. That is his god now. That is who he worships. That's what he worships. All he cares about is the rot. However, he's not actually alone on his new journey. His journey of inflicting pain and suffering on other people by inflicting scarlet rot upon others. He's not alone. He's actually accompanied by a snake that he carries in his right hand. He's got the Coiled Shield, but again, the lore of the character, that's actually a real life snake who accompanies him on his journeys. A lot like Voldemort, with Nagini. He's got his own pet snake and he actually uses that snake as a weapon in battle, and that helps him inflict poison on his enemies as well. So he's not just inflicting a scarlet rot, he's also using his snake, using that horrible poisonous bite to help him inflict poison on his enemies as well. So he's using some pretty underhand tactics. He's a force to be reckoned with. He knows what he's doing in the art of combat. The rot has completely changed his outlook on life and all he wants to do is kill. And he's definitely equipped with the tools to do it. He's even got a crossbow, the Surpus Black Key Crossbow. That's just something he took off one of his victims. Someone he killed was using the crossbow and he thought he'd carry that as well, just to help him take people out when they get really low on the health. They're really in bad shape through suffering through the rot. He gets his crossbow out and that's often enough just to finish the job. Or he can use it to do a bit of harassment at long range. The crossbow, it's got some really good range on it. It's quite accurate. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it makes for a really good harassment tool. Or like I say, it's just really good for killing people when they've just got a sliver of health left. Obviously the main aspect of this build is inflicting rot and poison on our enemies, so the gear that we're using takes advantage of that. I mentioned that he's got this big fungus growing out the top of his head. That's the mushroom crown, and that helps him take advantage of the poison or the rot by giving him a damage buff whenever it's inflicted on our enemies. And we're also using the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation Talisman, which gives us another damage buff as well on top of the mushroom crown. So we really are making the most of inflicting rot, inflicting poison on our enemies, and it's just what the build's all about, you know. You can see we're doing some decent damage with our weapons, but they've always got that health ticking down slowly in the background. So if they're not paying attention, they're going to lose a lot of health just through the tick damage from the poison that they're suffering from, or the rot that they're suffering from. Either or, you know, the snake comes in really handy, but our weapons are just as good, just as deadly. And you can see in this invasion now, I'm actually using 2 rotten crystal swords rather than the spear. That's just for a bit of variation. You know, the Rotten Cleric likes to mix things up a bit with his combat. He's got the second crystal sword just for when he wants a bit of a change, or if he comes across any particularly nasty ganks. The spear, you know, it doesn't do just quite as much damage as the sword does, and we all know that 2 straight swords are a very good moveset and can often be really good at dealing with ganks or anyone who's got a good setup. Get the extra sword out, and it's just a way to kind of get on top of things. So we've got the options when it comes to something like that. Another really good point to mention about the Rotten Cleric is that this build is surprisingly tanky. We're a level 40 build and we've got 40 vigour, which is a really good amount at this level. Also we're using Radagon's Soul Seal, so we're taking a bit of extra damage. So to offset that, I wanted to use a Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, which enormously boosts our physical damage negation. As well as that, in our flask we're using the Opaline Hardtear. As I always do on my builds, I'll probably will never make a build and not use that. It's pretty much always in my flask. It's a rare occasion where I'm not using the Opaline Hardtear. But we've got the Dragon Crest Talisman, we've got the Opaline Hardtear, and then we're also using that sweet boiled crab. So that's 3 forms of extra damage negation, as well as our good vigour pool. So, you know, we are well and truly offsetting the extra damage we're taking from Radagon's Soul Seal. And we're doing more so than that as well. We've actually made ourselves really tanky. So a good thing about this build is that we're doing damage on our enemies. The health is constantly ticking down when we've inflicted them with rot or poison. But we're also tanky, so if it comes to a big drawn out fight, we know we've got the sustain to last. We know we can out damage them in the long run and probably not take too much damage. And like I say, it's all about outlasting our opponents if it comes down to that long fight. Really good tactic. You can't beat having a tanky build, you know. It's just invaluable being able to take shots and give out shots at the same time. So just a good build, guys. The Rotten Cleric is just an absolute master when it comes to the art form of war. Like I say, it used to be religion. He was a very, very holy man, but the only holy thing he appreciates now is the Scarlet Rot. He worships it. He prays to it every night, and that's just what his life has become. His whole life is Scarlet Rot. It's a shame, really, guys. It's a pretty tragic state of affairs, you know, but it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but this is the life he's living these days. Now let's start taking a close look at these invasions. You can see we're fighting this duo here, and I think these two are both fat rolling, but that's not too much of an issue for them because they're not taking a lot of damage from my weapons. But as I said, you know, that's not so much of a big deal because I'm not taking a lot of damage from them either. But they've also got to worry about being poisoned and being rotted, so the health will be constantly ticking down ever so slowly. I've just got to keep dancing around these two, trying to make sure I'm not taking too many hits, and I've got to make sure that I'm keeping them topped up with the poison and the rot. As you can see there, we just landed a good shot with our pet snake, who's always reliable. He's always got my back. He's always supporting the Rotten Cleric in his battles. wherever the Rotten Cleric goes, the snake's going to go too. And you can see we managed to get the summon down nice and low there, and we finished him off with the crossbow with that explosive bolt. Again, you know, the crossbow isn't going to be doing massive damage, but it's invaluable when it comes to finishing them off when they're at low health, when they're too far away from our weapons to take effect. It can be an awesome tactic to switch to the crossbow and do that last bit of damage to finish the fight. And to be honest, it's just really fun. I've never used a single fire crossbow in this game yet, and this particular crossbow I've always thought looks so cool. So even if there was another crossbow that I could be getting more damage out of, I just wanted to use this one because, like I say, visually I just think it looks absolutely awesome. So yeah, you know, this build, it really does accommodate the crossbow well. When you pair it with the constant ticking, the constant draining down of the health. Always got the crossbow there for a harassment. You can see he just managed to get a heal off there and top himself up. But you know, the crossbow is always there to just harass them and take that little bit of damage off them, but I can do it constantly. It fires really quick. Just miss out there on the charge forth with the spear, but it doesn't matter because he's poisoned, he's rotted, and his health's gone completely. And that's a really good invasion against two tricky opponents. Like I said, there was both fat rolling, but it didn't really affect the fight too much, you know. It was still a really good battle with those two. Fair play, boys, GG's. You just weren't capable of dealing with the Rotten Cleric. Now for this next invasion, I found myself at the first step and I was dealing with this duo who were ganking. And they were a pretty bad excuse for a gank, if I could say so myself. You know, just using horrible tactics, standing off like this. Whenever I got near them, the summon was just spamming that Ash of War on the Moog Spear. The horse there ready and waiting to spam the Moonveil. And it went like this for a good few minutes. I was just kind of trying to goad them out into this space and give myself a bit of area to work with. And you can see, you know, whenever they got near me and left themselves open for attacks, they're not too savvy, you know. I was managing to get some damage in between all of the Ash of War spam that we were doing. So, you know, this is a tricky one because they're using those powerful weapons and they're making it hard for me to get any space. But at the same time, I was going into this invasion at this point thinking that this is definitely winnable. It's just a case of biding my time, working on, you know, making sure I'm nice and patient and getting my attacks in when I can. And all the while I was thinking if I could just get a friendly invader to help me out, and what do you know, someone's turned up. So there's another invader. It's now a 2-on-2, and this was after a good few minutes with these two guys. I've cut this down quite a lot, but this went on for a while, so I was really happy to get this fellow invader in, and we can really go to town and put these two in the place. As you can see, this guy's on his own now, and he's just starting to crumble. I'm putting him under that pressure, keeping my good spacing with the two swords. Unlucky there not to finish him off with the crossbow. We just missed with that crossbow bolt and he was able to heal. But you can see, you know, he's inflicted with Scarlet Rot and his health is just constantly ticking down. He's under so much pressure and he's panicking, guys. He's running like a scalded dog now. He's not got his friend backing him up with a Moonveil. And this is going to be a done deal. I've got my invader here. We've got a 2-on-2 and things are just looking so much better all of a sudden. He's going for the Ash of War, but we finish him off between us and now it's just the host. It's a 2-on-1, we've turned the tables. And get teabagged, by the way. Taste my testicles. Taste the testicles of the Rotten Cleric. Taste my scarlet rotted testicles. I hope they taste extra salty, extra sweaty. You deserve it. And now watch this from the host. He's absolutely petrified and he's legged it. We was looking for him and look at the state of this. Have you ever seen something so cowardly? I mean, he was so brave when he had his friend. God knows what level his summon was. And he was both spamming the Ashes of War. And now look at him. I mean, have a bit of honour. Have a bit of class, son. But no, you're just acting like an absolute coward. This is embarrassing. Jump off the ledge. Just jump off, do yourself a favour and end it. There you go. It's over now. You can rest. You can rest and never gank again if that's what you're going to do. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic, but I give my fellow invader there a nice bow because that was absolute quality. Really good invasion, you know. We just bided our time, showed a good bit of patience, waited until we got the extra invader, and then it was a 2-on-2, and me and my man there, we just showed him who was boss and we put him in the place. And speaking of showing him who's boss, watch this summon. He's coming at me, I'm just harassing him with the crossbow. He's aggroed a little bit of PvE as well now, so he's got these skelly bros to deal with as well as me. He's still panicking though, and watch this, just one shot with a bolt there, and that's enough to make him soil himself and just roll off the edge. He just couldn't face the crossbow harassment. He couldn't face the Rotten Cleric harassment with the crossbow, and he just wanted to end it early, guys, so he just rolled off the edge and he's gone home. And look at this, just a beautiful kill with our pet snake there. Our pet snake, Cedric. Cedric, the Rotten Cleric pet snake. Always reliable, always by my side, and always willing to finish off a low health horse like that. And what a stylish way to end an invasion. Just absolute quality. Now this was a funny one as well. I knew straight away here that the horse was idle, so I just started pummeling him with these explosive bolts from the crossbow. Now I had no intention of ending the invasion this way. I was just trying to see what the summon would do, you know. I just wanted to keep shooting the horse, and I was trying to make the summon make a move. And make a move is exactly what he does, so fair play to him. And that puts me on the front foot and gets me over there to take him on. Now at this point I could see that the horse was still idle, so I'm just, I just go over for the fight with the summon. Let's see what the summon's got. He's got that wizard build. He's doing, he's going to do some good damage with those spells, so I've got to be careful. But look at him, just one bolt from the crossbow, and that's enough to finish him. And now what's the horse doing? Is the horse here, or is the horse not here? Are you here, dude? What's the crack? What's the crack? Where are you? Are you having a poo? Are you coming back? Oh, and he's alive, guys. Let's see what this guy's got, shall we? But anyway, guys, this is the last invasion of the video, so I'm going to let this fight just play out in the background. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video on this brand new build, the Rotten Cleric. I absolutely love this playstyle. This build turned out to be so much stronger than I actually thought it would. Using some really cool weapons with the Rotten Crystal Sword and the Rotten Crystal Spear. Really good combination having the spear in our offhand as well. And as well, the crossbow. I really enjoyed using that on the build. Not to mention Cedric, our pet snake. But anyway, guys, look after yourselves, look after each other, enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all on the next video.